On Sundays, after the death of the head of the family, I got very dark at my grandmother's house. The Sundays themselves got very dark, darker Sundays. My relatives, elderly neighbors, and friends recommended her to be almost as grief-stricken invalid. Now there is only you for you, poor granny. Take care of her, comfort her, and make her miss her husband as little as you can, they said. It was almost taken for granted that they would have to make the decision to move in with her for a while, helping her not to feel alone and to overcome her grief. I refused delicately, citing the reasons of higher order. Who would have accompanied me in the morning to take the train to go to school, since the station would have been too far? Who would have assured me a quiet and isolated enough environment to study late into the night? Or my grandmother had perhaps have lent herself to following my gastronomic whims and respecting my daily sociality? In short, it was agreed that a permanent stay at his home would be limited to the usual summer one. On Sundays, however, I spent her next to her while she wept, trembled, and told a horrendous tale about the boar to the dead. This just sparked my curiosity about him, his terror of death. It is to her credit that she was an atheist like essentially my own parents. She was, however, as is the majority of Christians today, without confessing or knowing it. That is so bad. Let's close our eyes. And what will happen next? My God take that moment away from me. But who do I call God? God doesn't exist. If God existed, it would not have killed my husband. And so on. These are the speeches, always the same, that I listened to for years in the kitchen at the end of lunch, after being full for food and fatigue. My grandmother sat with me at the table in front of the switched-off TV. I believe that her genuine phobic terror of death was triggered by an episode from her childhood, where her father already and on his deathbed wanted to put her by force to him and shouted her out of her mind. It is not fair that I die so young. If you die in my place, I'll take you with me, her father said. Why then a father would have to drag such a small girl with him to the grave? I've always refused to understand. Her grandmother always called their father a bad guy, a criminal. He had once actually killed a man with a bar, a slacker and a brawler. But he understood that dying is terrible. God bless him and save him from hell, she said. A few months before my grandmother, my great grandmother, a few months after before my grandfather, my great grandmother had also died at the ripe old age of 97. Her grandmother and my grandaunt had refused to look after her during the very last weeks of her life, and had transferred to a hospice where the old woman, alone and abandoned by everyone, finally took her last breath. This threw a dark veil on our family, especially on my grandmother, who always retained the remorse of having anticipated the death of her mother with indifference. However, it was inevitable that it would end like this. I'm already old. I could take care of her too, she said. I agreed with her, everything to stop whining about waiting. Little by little, she went from feeling sorry for her late husband to feeling unstoppable pity for herself. That was approaching. She felt it. All superstitious rituals to pray to a god she didn't believe in, the scissors hanging on the walls, and the horns nailed behind doors and windows. Nothing would have removed the extreme spectre of consciousness. You are so young, girl. Why don't you give me some of the many years you have left, since the way you live you are of no use? She was ready to tear myself out. Not that I was afraid. On the contrary, I would have gladly given it to her, my soul to her, the years that I left. For what life meant to me by now, I would have given it away without thinking about the first one who asked me for it. In any case, the fate was merciful enough to my grandmother. She outlived her husband for almost 20 years, to my torment of my mother. For the torment of my mother waited there, and our daughters who, to spite my father, began to hate her more than every other human being in the world. See you for the following in the next video.